It's the Snubbies.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Snubbies, where each week we pick a movie or a person who won an award that we don't think should have won that award, and we take it back and give it to the deserving picture or person that deserves it. So, yeah, it's kind of a mean way to look at things, but sometimes you gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet. You gotta two wrongs and make a right, whatever wrong cliche you want to throw out there. So, sit back and enjoy. This week I got my very, very good buddy, Joey Abi Loutfi, joining us. He is a screenwriter. He has written one of my favorite movies that I ever had the pleasure of working on called Eternity, the movie. Stars Barrett Craik and Mike Oliver. If you haven't seen this movie yet, you really got to do yourself a favor and check it out. We're going to get into that when we talk with Joey, but... actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and play you the audio from the trailer. I love this movie. I think it's absolutely hilarious. So, if you like '80s comedies with some just quintessential '80s music, this is all original. This is being released on DVD very soon. It's currently available on iTunes and Amazon Prime and everything. So, here's a trailer. Go ahead and give this a listen.
I'm new to the area. My name is Todd Lucas.
I'm Gina Marie.
I'm an aspiring singer/songwriter.
No way!
I just landed a sweet gig over at BJ Maxx's as a glamorist.
You done back there, new guy?
Sorry.
You should come check me out tonight at the Dirty Bird. I go on at 7.
Look at us, dressed the same every day. It's like we're in a band together.
Eternity!
And you are clearly at your music-making best when you're depressed.
The greatest contemporary R&B duo ever? I don't know.
These are my kind of guys.
Looks like an Irish Elvis with a Spanish cabana boy.
I'm so glad we're here.
This is BJ's sound. You better bring your A game.
Gina, Todd's in love with you. And I love you too.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, they're special.
That ended weird. But it usually does, you know?
So that's the trailer for Eternity, the movie. Seriously cannot recommend this movie enough, and as you'll hear, Joey and I are going to talk a bit about it during our conversation. So this week, the movie up for question, we're going to go back to 2001, and we're going to look at the Oscars for Best Picture that went to A Beautiful Mind. Ron Howard's A Beautiful Mind, starring Russell Crowe, Jennifer Connelly, Ed Harris. And it's not a bad movie, at least in my opinion. It's not. I know Joey's got some own reservations about the movie, but not every movie that we talk about on this show is bad and undeserving of attention. But I think once we start getting into the discussion and you realize that 2000 was a pretty damn good year for movies, and it probably, I don't know, A Beautiful Mind probably was not the one that should have won, and maybe, who knows, maybe the one that we decide on it wasn't even nominated in the first place. I mean, a lot of times we go back in time and we see that there are so many great movies that weren't even given a chance to be nominated, and I think this is one of those years, 2001, where A Beautiful Mind, yes, it's a grand movie. It has amazing performances, but in the long run, you got to sit back and you got to realize that there are some movies that have stood the test of time a lot better. Here we are, 15 years later, and we're not talking about A Beautiful Mind anymore. We're talking about a lot of other movies that came out that year. So. Hopefully you enjoyed that trailer for Eternity. Joey's gonna come in here in a second. We're gonna get going, and hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to join us on Twitter at the Snubbies and on our Facebook page. Let us know what movies that you want us to do coming up here. Take some time to do that now if you'd like, unless you're driving, listening to this, in which case keep both hands on the wheel and pay attention. And we'll be right back with Joey Abi Loutfi. guys, we're back. I am with my very, very good buddy Joey Abi Loutfi,
Hello, hello, hello.
or as we like to call him, Joey Absolutely.
I've been called that before. Yes, it's my email actually.
I think you're actually in my phone as Joey Absolutely.
It's kind of a handle that I've held on to. No pun intended on that.
So when I first started mentioning that I was going to be doing this podcast, I was like, just spitballing and everything. And I think you and we kind of check in with each other every so often. You were like, oh, you got a podcast? I was like, yeah, do you want to do one? And what was your response right away?
Oh my God, I need in. I'm such a huge fan of yours.
But you said right away, you were like, I hate Ron Howard.
I just have some issues with him. I'm sure if I personally met him, I would be like, oh my God, this is such an honor. Let's work together. That being said, his movies just don't.
All right, well, we'll get into that. I love just like the instant rage that comes to your face. You're like, Ron Howard. You could like totally cut an Ultimate Warrior promo for WWE.
Oh my God.
Ron Howard, I will take you down to parts unknown. So I first met Joey. We were both production assistants on this movie, Son of an Afghan Farmer, which is funny because it sounds like something you yell when you stub your toe, but you don't want to take the Lord's name in vain. I can't even remember. Like I have a lot of like fun stories about shooting that movie, but I mean, what was your favorite part of shooting that movie?
Well, I got onto it because I got an email saying there was a film being shot in Santa Barbara, which is where I went to school. So I was like, oh, great. I get to relive my college life a little bit.
And we only shot half that movie in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, the
rest
first
was
week or so was
New Kuyama.
Yes,
Was
yes,
the
which looks a lot like Afghanistan.
Well, it's funny because so I got the call from Dave Page, who at this point he's a producer on the show Nathan For You, but he was our first AD. No, he was our second AD for that. I got a call that they needed someone last second to do a run up to New Kuyama, and I was like, dude, where the hell is that? And he's like, do you know where Santa Maria is? And I said, no, because I was, I'm still relatively new to LA at this point. Then I go, where's Santa Maria? He goes, do you know where Santa Barbara is? And I go, kind of. He goes, go 2 hours north of Santa Barbara and turn right.
And keep going.
And that's all he said. And I was like, dude, I need a GPS address. And he goes, no, that's the direction that you get. And so that's what I did. I stayed on the 101, headed north, and got to Santa Maria, and there's one road that goes east. And I'm looking for a sign or something, and he just said, I just remember, like, turn right and go for an hour and you'll find us. And I'll be damned.
There they were.
There you guys were in like a cornfield.
Yeah, I actually the email was for a production designer, and I went and interviewed for a production designer. And they're like, oh, what experience do you have? And I'm like, I was like just out of school. They're like, how about PA? I'm like, let's do it.
Yes, I can manage getting coffee for the actors. That sounds perfect.
Ended up being quite a fun time though, and
that
obviously
was
like
fun.
Quality people.
Yeah, we met some really interesting people on that one.
Especially each other.
Dude. Well, I remember I still have the photo of we called it the best PA team in history. It was like you, me, Mitch Deckiet, Abby Neeson. It was fun. It was a good time.
It was.
But I guess my favorite story was when we started shooting in Santa Barbara and we would go out at night. I remember Dave Page was like, we got to come up with like awesome stories to try to meet women out in Santa Barbara because they don't care about just any regular film crew. And so I was like, I'm going to be the stunt coordinator. And we didn't have that many stunts. And I just remember going out to the bar, and Dave would like go up to waitresses and be like, have you met Evan? He is going to be the biggest stunt man in history. He is just killing it on this set. And fast forward to the end of the night, Dave like punches me in the nuts. As I'm talking to a waitress, I drop to the ground, like tears rolling down my eyes just because of the pain. And Dave just goes, stunts, and then runs away.
I love Dave Page. I am so glad I'm on the record of saying how much I love him.
He is probably the coolest cat in Hollywood that isn't a household name. You know, like
he is cool.
Everyone's
he
like, oh,
cool.
like Tom Cruise, Channing Tatum. I'm like, no, fuck that. Dave Page is the man.
Yeah, and I remember claiming like, okay, I'm local. I went to school here. I'm gonna take you guys out. I'm gonna show you what's up. And then I take you guys to the Wildcat, which is a great bar in Santa Barbara, but it just happened to be the gay night, and everybody's like, "Oh, we didn't know."
Yeah, like you didn't
I'm like,
know.
"I didn't know either." I swear, there's heteros here 6 days of the week.
Like you didn't know my ass. So, yeah, Son of an Afghan Farmer. I think it's available online. I think the website is like Son of an Afghan Farmer, and you can actually watch the movie on the website.
Yeah,
I think, because I don't think it's on Netflix, but hey,
it's special for yeah. I went to their premiere, and it was great to, see a final product. Obviously,
well, that's the worst part for people who aren't in the industry. All 2 of you that listen to this podcast, it's the most frustrating thing in the world to spend, chunks of your life away from your friends and family shooting a movie and then have nothing to show for it.
Yeah,
that is the worst part. I can't count how many times I've worked on a super awesome movie, and then it just kind of fizzles out. It goes away and just doesn't appear anywhere. And it's like, I remember working on this movie, and there's nothing to show for it. And it's like, well, did you really work on a movie? It's like, well, yeah.
And it meant so much to us at the time.
Oh, absolutely,
like,
it did.
Forged these bonds. You end up becoming family for a month, basically.
Oh yeah. So,
Yeah.
which brings me to another awesome movie. Joey is the writer, producer. You got producer, right? Yeah, you're a producer. Writer, producer / script supervisor.
Yeah, scripty.
For Eternity the movie. I have gone on record. Now, I worked on The Artist, and that's probably the most well-known movie that I've worked on. My favorite movie that I've worked on is Eternity the movie.
Well, thank you. That's a true honor.
It has nothing to do with you. Calm down. No, seriously. When you first told me the story, I was like, okay, that sounds fun. Like that'll be fun. We'll go shoot in San Diego for a month, and that'll be that. I think once we first started filming is when, because I was your first assistant director.
Mm-hmm.
When we first started filming with Barrett and Maiko, the 2 stars of the movie, I was instantly like, whoa, I now see what this movie is going to be.
Man, yeah. Thankfully for those 2 guys. I mean, they put so much effort into what they were doing.
Well, it's funny because so for those of you who don't know about the movie, it's now available on iTunes,
Google Play, Amazon Prime, something called Xfinity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very tech savvy, but
That's all good.
I know it's on those 3.
And soon coming to DVD and Blu-ray.
Correct. They have a couple of DVDs made already. The Blu-rays are going to take a little bit more time, and then from what we understand, in a couple of months, it'll be available on Netflix.
Nice.
And some other streaming.
I think the way it works on Netflix is you have to have X amount of people queue it up and they're saved before they release it.
Okay.
I think that's how it works.
Yeah, and then we were told you might get like a 20 to 30 day test run on Netflix. If it does well, they'll keep it longer. But
okay, so maybe that is how it is then.
Yeah, I just know that our distributor, you can max out the money on iTunes and Amazon, and the deal with Netflix is a lot less money. So obviously they're going to try to keep it on these platforms as long as they can.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
So go rent it, please.
Yes, definitely go rent it. I
buy it.
And
it's worth it.
I'm not just saying this because I worked on it and because you're my bro, but it's funny. So my wife and I dragged my wife to go see the cast and crew screening. I've seen it twice in the theater, which is awesome. The first one was for the cast and crew, and she was like, okay, it's like a run-of-the-mill, like, funny story, blah, blah. Once the music kicks in, she was like, my God, this is hilarious. Because, so what's the best way to pitch this to someone who doesn't know what it's about?
Sure. It's the rise and fall of a white R&B duo in the 80s called Eternity. Some would say ambiguously gay. They look a lot like Hall & Oates. They act a lot like Richard Marx, very sensitive songwriters. And they get to a mediocre type of fame. But it's truly about the love between 2 men that are also heterosexual, because there's just a funny dynamic between men who, we want to express each other's love for one another, but a lot of
society
men have a hard
tells us we
time.
can't.
Correct.
We can't do it that way.
Correct.
It's funny because after I was done filming and I came home, my wife, who, at that point we were just dating, she was like, so what exactly was that movie about? And I said, The only way I can describe it that does it justice is that it is the ultimate bromance. There's no other way to say it. Like, this is a movie about two dudes who love each other and can't live without each other, but they bang chicks.
Yeah, it really is the rise and fall of their love, really, is along with their success as a band. But yeah, the music, I mean, God, it really like propelled the project to levels we weren't really expecting.
Yeah, and who was the guy that wrote the music?
Mr. Nicholas Viella, my great friend, who's super talented.
Yeah,
and
that music. I mean,
God.
I remember. So we went to another. I think it was the Cast and Crew screening in San Diego, and because I was a Kickstarter contributor, I got a copy of the soundtrack. That soundtrack got a lot of rotation in my CD player in my car and on my iPod.
It's catchy.
My God. I mean, so anyone who, you don't even have to like 80s music, you just have to appreciate it. But if you like it, then you're going to love the soundtrack.
Totally.
With such amazing songs as Make Love Not Just Sex.
Don't Let Go, I'm Begging You Please. Zambuca Insider.
I love Zambuca Insider.
Single Cross Earring.
Oh my God. They're so quintessentially 80s that it hurts.
Yeah.
You know? And oh my God, I think I actually had Make Love Not Just Sex as my ringtone for a while, and I would get some pretty awesome looks from some old people at CVS while I was waiting in line to check out.
Yet the film is PG-13, so we never totally cross over that explicit sexual line.
And there's no reason to either. I mean, this is a good example of a movie that it can be raunchy in tone without needing to be explicit.
Yeah, and I really tested myself because, I mean, you could, I don't know what this podcast is rated, but, you could say balls and all these stupid jokes for so long, but, and drop F-bombs and whatever, but I really wanted to get laughs, like a pure laugh.
Well, when I think 80s, I don't think F this, F that, unless you're thinking like late 80s when like NWA was coming up or something like that, but this is, like you said, it's Richard Marx, it's Hall & Oates, like that's the inspiration. I'm not hearing any F-bombs come out of them.
No.
So there shouldn't be for the characters.
No, and I think, not necessarily subconsciously, but I really wanted to make a John Hughes film. Like, he's a huge inspiration to me. We have the same birthday. His films are so great because you try to break them down. Nothing not a lot happens, I should say. But the emotional roller coaster that their characters go through, poor
absolutely.
Ringwald and Pretty Pink, it's just up and down. But if you kind of break it down, what the action is, there's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And so there's this real kind of contemplative pace, which some of our critics kind of had some comments about. But that was our goal, is to make this like 80s contemplative John Hughes film.
Yeah. Well, I read some of those, quote, reviews, and I mean, they couldn't, and I'm not just saying this because I worked on it, but it's like, I read the reviews from the critics, and then I read reviews from people who have actually seen the movie who aren't critics, and it's like that Rotten Tomatoes thing where it's like a critic score will be one way, and the audience score is the exact opposite.
Yeah, thankfully.
So it's like you can sit there and pick a movie. I could pick apart Schindler's List all day long.
Oh, most definitely.
I don't want to.
Yeah, Lawrence of Arabia could have been better.
Yeah, Titanic. What were they thinking? Like. Anybody can pick a movie apart, except for Mad Max Fury Road. Yeah. It's just, at what point do you be like, okay, you're going to go see, and I don't mean silly in a bad way, but you're going to go see a very lighthearted comedy about two dudes who can't live without each other. What are you expecting?
Yeah, most definitely.
I'm sorry, were you expecting Brokeback Mountain? No, screw that. You're expecting funny songs, funny performances, and maybe just that little bit of emotional twist of the knife a little bit, because, not to do a spoiler alert or anything, when the bathtub scene comes up in Eternity, it really kind of takes you by surprise because it's so funny, so out of nowhere, but the emotion behind that scene is unlike anything in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I remember on set that day, you came to me and you're like, oh my God, they're looking into the mirror. Like, I get it. I get what's going on here. And it's funny. It's a comedy, but the laughs kind of come from the dramatic aspects. But when we were shooting, it was emotional. A lot of the it wasn't like
was. Well, it's funny because
days were heavy.
Chris Ernst, the director of photography of the movie, I remember, we had a closed set because anytime you have, they weren't naked in the tub, but it's like they're, it's still a very, whenever you have highly emotional scenes, you want not a lot of crew on set anyways. So, we locked down the set so that they could do their thing. I think it was me, Ian Thorpe, the director, me, Ian, and Chris. Maybe one other. Maybe you were in there too.
They put me on the toilet around
on the toilet. Yeah, that's naturally.
I needed
naturally.
To go. It was okay.
Here they are professing their emotions, and there's Joey just taking a shit in the corner. But I can remember, after Maiko starts delivering some of his lines, Chris and I just looked at each other and we were like, "Oh shit! Like this just got real and real fast."
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I don't think it's too much of a spoiler. I mean, it's a rise and fall, so obviously they're gonna fall in love and get in a fight. But I remember the big kind of fight breakup scene. Nicole, my sister who did wardrobe, was crying. I looked at her, "Are you okay?" She's like, "It's just so sad." I love these guys, and we became attached to them.
To be fair, and your sister is one of the coolest people I've ever met. She could have been crying about anything at that point. I mean, she lost it like hide and seek in the dark the night before. She could have been crying about that.
That's right. The hide and seek was intense, though. That was quite. Yeah. That was quite a
Nicole,
day.
we love you. Just kidding.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you guys haven't heard about or seen it yet, definitely check out Eternity, the movie. Download the soundtrack, download the movie, queue it up on Netflix, do whatever you can, because it is one of those movies that you're gonna walk away from it singing the songs and just quoting random stuff from it, and it's a feel good time. So you got to do it.
I appreciate that, and yeah, our response from the audiences have been really positive. Like you said, the critics weren't too nice, but you know what? It was the New York Times, it was the Village Voice, it was the LA Times. So the fact that those outlets were paying attention to us means a lot to me.
Oh, absolutely. And Leonard Maltin, one of the top critics in the world, thinks that Shawshank Redemption is a 2 out of 4 star movie. So critics don't know shit.
Yeah, make your own opinions, people. Watch it. Let me know what you think. I have a really hard time watching it, but only because I was through the whole process. And
I could watch that movie any day.
I mean, still some of the scenes still get to me. Even you know.
Yeah.
God, and it really. I'm going to credit the performances. Truly. I mean, yeah, the writing was
awesome.
Thank you. I was going to say it, but I'm glad you did. But if it wasn't for those performances, it wouldn't have shined that movie the way it did.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's awesome. I can't recommend it enough. So we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to reset. We'll get into what we think is a snubbed award while you guys go download Eternity. So we'll be back in a second. All right, let's talk snubs here.
Hey, welcome back.
Well, yeah. Well, sorry. Leave it to my guests to welcome us back.
I'm slowly trying to take over this podcast. I don't know if any of you know this, but
this is the all anti-Ron Howard podcast now, apparently.
Oh, poor Ronnie. Poor Opie.
Okay, so when I invited you to come on the show, I asked you what movie won an award that you don't think deserved to win, and what are we going to take the movie with?
First of all, I love this idea. It's brilliant because I think everybody thinks about these things, but there's never a platform to do this, so I commend you for doing this for us. But the first thing that popped in my mind was back in 2001 when we were just young lads and A Beautiful Mind took home Best Picture.
And that was the year that, I don't know about you, I just started film school that year. So
same. Yeah.
I saw A Beautiful Mind and I was like, damn, good movie, dude. So apparently.
You liked it, huh?
I liked it, and I'm wondering if I liked it so much because I was so impressionable and I hadn't gotten that jaded edge yet where now for this year's awards at least, I'm like, I don't think what's the one about the financial crisis this year?
The Big Short.
The Big Short. I don't think The Big Short deserves a nomination. I don't think Carol or Brooklyn. I don't think those movies deserve to be nominated. They were okay, if anything.
And I do feel the Academy has grown over the years and accepted more types of films, which I appreciate.
Which is go back one episode and see how incorrect that statement is.
Well, yeah, I know our black friends are still getting left out, but
Well,
that was a different episode.
I feel like we've I don't know, like we live in an era where The Dark Knight wasn't nominated.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. That was, regardless of how you feel about comic book movies or action movies or anything like that, The Dark Knight will be one of the greatest movies ever made. 0 nominations in the big picture in the best picture category. Well, not that there would be more than one, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. What are they scared of? Like, why not nominate a great film?
But it's funny because now this year, Mad Max Fury Road is nominated, and it's like, I think if it wasn't nominated, there was going to be an uproar that it wasn't. But why wasn't there an uproar to this level for Dark Knight? But and regardless, getting back on point, I think I was very impressionable that A Beautiful Mind had Russell Crowe, Ed Harris.
I have a theory why you were so impressioned.
Because I'm schizophrenic.
The year before,
let's talk about our other guest over here, who lives in my ear.
Voice in Evan's head. He's sweet too. The year before, Gladiator won, and Russell Crowe came onto the scene hot. And it's like, okay, we've seen him chop heads off. Now this following year, he's sensitive and like it's this beautiful mind, and he can really act. It's not just all muscle and shin fuzz.
Shin fuzz?
I'm sorry, 5 o'clock shadow. He's got a great.
You talking about facial hair? You say
thing.
shin fuzz?
Chin.
Oh, I thought you said shin. I'm like, why were you staring at his legs?
All that shin fuzz.
Dear God, man. All right, so your problem is that everyone had a hard-on for Russell Crowe, and therefore the movie reaped the benefits of it.
I think that had something to do with it. I think my biggest problem was the Academy said, we need to celebrate Ron Howard. He's done a good job. So here's your Lifetime Achievement Award, but it's called Best Picture and Best Director.
So
which they've done a couple of times, which I have written down and I'd like to talk about. And that was his year. They're just like, okay, we're gonna celebrate him.
I'm sorry, you got so serious. So you're saying that 2001, A Beautiful Mind was the equivalent of The Departed, Martin Scorsese.
Ooh, I was gonna wait to bring that up because I know you're such a Boston guy.
I'm bringing it up now, dude.
Okay, now let's get something straight. Scorsese is
you're talking about getting
another
straight.
level than Ron Howard. Okay. Totally.
Fair enough.
And
I
you know
don't
what?
disagree.
Like I said, if Ron Howard came to me and said, "Hey, you're great. I loved your movie. Let's work together," I would be like, "Ron, you're the man. What can I do for you?"
Just as long as he doesn't listen to this episode.
He's made some good films. Okay.
I need to go on the record saying I like Ron Howard movies.
Okay.
Cinderella Man.
I'm gonna question you on a couple of them.
Go for it.
Should we just do this now?
Do it.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna name a couple great ones that I personally love.
Well, you go right ahead.
Splash, loved it.
Okay.
Willow, big part of all of our childhoods.
Warwick Davis is the man.
Mm-hmm. Parenthood, I thought was great. I thought it was a great film.
Okay.
For the time, it really,
Okay.
My retainer. I still say that to this day. Hey, my retainer. And Backdraft is a great film. Okay. There you go, Ronnie. Loved those movies.
Backdraft was pretty awesome.
Cocoon. Oh, I'm gonna make a movie about old people having sex. Like what?
Well,
I know it was more than that, but that's what I remember.
But I mean, now there's a lot of like red tube sites that you can go to see that.
Exactly. Apollo 13.
Okay, what? Okay, what didn't you like about Apollo 13?
Again, okay, Tom Hanks was hot, coming in hot. Off of Forrest Gump in Philadelphia.
See, I was a Gary Sinise fan more than a Tom Hanks fan at that point.
Right. I think it was kind of a perfect storm of, okay, we have this great idea. It's time to celebrate what happened in history.
I will say the only thing I don't like about Apollo 13 is that we already, for such an iconic moment in American history, we already know the ending. So it's hard to build that suspense, but I think he did it.
it's all right. Okay,
It's like when
better than any movie I've made.
It's like when the iceberg hits Titanic and there's people in the audience going, "Is it gonna sink?" It's like I'm gonna backhand you so hard right now.
Yeah, they was just I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. I guess I think I think maybe I was coming into it with great expectations, and I remember it came out early that year, thinking like, oh, this should be like an Oscar nod. Yet it's coming out in January, and it just I guess it didn't live up to what I was expecting it to live up to.
Okay. So what else you got?
I mean, EdTV.
No, pass.
No,
don't
right?
don't need to talk about it. TV.
Should I go back to Cocoon because it was so weird and stupid?
You didn't like the keyhole scene where the alien strips the skin off?
So weird.
You don't like swimming?
It's just weird. That's weird, Ron Howard. That's weird.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have to admit, I didn't see the Da Vinci Code or Angels and Demons.
The movies held true to the books in the sense that Angels and Demons is so vastly far superior to Da Vinci Code, but it didn't have the controversy because more people give a shit about people crapping on Jesus than they do just a solid story. Angels and Demons is by far better than Da Vinci Code, whether or not you're talking about the book or the movie. That being said, Da Vinci Code was okay.
Okay. And, I give credit to him for tackling such a project.
Yeah, I think anyone who did tackle that was never going to meet fan expectations. It just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't see Rush, but I heard it was great. So
did not see Rush either.
I'm going to look into it. And again, Backdraft was great. Like as kids, like I thought that was a hell of a movie.
You know, my favorite thing about Backdraft is they used the soundtrack for Glory in the trailer.
Really?
And I know there's people out there going, what the fuck does that have to do with the movie? I'm sorry, but a good trailer can really sell a movie. Now, the exception to that rule is Zack Snyder, who his movies are so god-awful, but his movies make for amazing trailers.
Trailers.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I watch the trailer for Sucker Punch at least once a week, but you cannot get me to watch that fucking movie ever again.
You know what's funny? I was doing a little research last night because I care about Evan so much in this pod that I was googling Ron Howard and watching some of his trailers. And you know what the first thing that came like suggested watches?
Cocoon?
No, trailers that look good but are from terrible movies.
You're saying Ron Howard has the Zack Snyder effect.
If you watch the Cocoon trailer, you're like, damn, this looks cool. But it ends up just being a bunch of naked people talking about sex. Okay, that's a thing for some people. Some people like feet. It's just not me. I like it old school. I got 3 positions and I'm going to use them. So I don't know. Maybe I should revisit Cocoon.
Joey, which positions are we talking about?
On top, on bottom, and then
lazy side man.
And then, the Rapunzel, of course.
Oh dear God. Okay. Oh my God. All right.
Okay, but and beyond just Ron Howard, because again, respect. He's had a long career, and that the Academy was like, okay, it's time to honor him. But the 2001 was a strong year for film.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's talk about the list of the actual nominees for Best Picture.
Okay.
So, Beautiful Mind won, of course. That was number one. Then we have Gosford Park, In the Bedroom, Moulin Rouge, and Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, and they could have easily given Altman the quote unquote lifetime achievement because he's a hell of a filmmaker.
Yes, absolutely.
He changed the way sound design.
What did you think of Gosford Park? That's a long pause. That's a very long pause.
I'm gonna admit I didn't see it. Okay, I didn't see it.
Oh, you can admit that.
I've
you don't
seen
need
other Altman films.
You don't need to do a 30-second pause to admit that you didn't see it. You can just say you didn't see it.
Did I just ruin the pod?
I'm gonna have to go in there and take out about 2 minutes of silence because that was painfully awkward. I thought you were thinking of another sex position there for a second. In the Bedroom.
I didn't see In the Bedroom either.
Moving on, Moulin Rouge.
It could have been. It should have been considered. It should have been nominated.
Well, let me ask you this:
It's
today. It's so the year that we're talking about is 2001. This is 2016. 15 years later, between A Beautiful Mind and Moulin Rouge, which movie are we still talking about?
Most definitely Moulin Rouge.
Absolutely.
It's lasted the test of time.
So, and that's kind of what this podcast is which movie is standing up to critics even today. I think Moulin Rouge, I think Baz Luhrmann is, I mean, he wasn't even nominated for Moulin Rouge. Can you believe that? I mean,
He should have been.
that's what's weird about the director nominees versus the picture nominees is that something like Moulin Rouge only comes from like an evil genius. Like that kind of style, that kind of look, that's something that needs to be honored and treated. And the fact that, I mean, I'm looking at
Well, in Chicago won, I believe, the next year. So
Did-
maybe they
yeah.
felt like, oh, maybe we should have
probably should have.
acknowledged
I mean, was it
the
was it
musical.
was Moulin Rouge like too comic booky for people? Like I'm trying to think of.
Well, and there was such a gap between the great era of musicals, and then all of a sudden this comes along, and everyone was like, whoa. Like,
I definitely like Moulin Rouge for the fact that they incorporate like contemporary music, like they had the Smells Like Teen Spirit guitar riff in there a little bit, like, and the music itself is fantastic. And anything that John Leguizamo's in, I'm probably gonna like. So
he is great.
he is great. But so two directors that were nominated, but their movie wasn't nominated. And I got to go back and talk about Lord of the Rings here in a second. David Lynch for Mulholland Drive.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
Ridley Scott for Black Hawk Down.
Okay.
Now, Gosford Park in the Bedroom, I'm sorry for anyone who worked on those movies. Just in terms of nominations, those got to go because Mulholland Drive and Black Hawk Down need to be nominated.
Most definitely.
Between A Beautiful Mind, Moulin Rouge, and Black Hawk Down, which movie are we still talking about today?
It's Moulin Rouge.
I disagree. I think we're still talking about Black Hawk Down.
Only because of the content.
Because of the content, but also because the sound design in Black Hawk Down was revolutionary. I saw at that point, so I went to, my undergrad was Keene State College, probably the last time I'll ever give a shout out to that school. They had the best sound system on the Eastern Seaboard for a few years because it's like sound technology was still advancing. I saw Black Hawk Down 5 times in the theater on campus because it literally felt like people were firing bullets over my head.
Wow.
That kind of technique and that kind of precision, I'm sorry, that movie needs to be nominated.
And
Has
that's
to be nominated.
Ridley Scott.
That was Ridley Scott.
And again, I think, not to get too far off the subject, and I'm sure we'll start talking about this year's nominations, but I think that's why they tossed The Martian such a bone, just because it's like, hey, we need to recognize Ridley a little bit, but
He's been recognized.
yuck.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so I do want to jump back really quickly and get to Lord of the Rings, because of the 3 Lord of the Rings, Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King, which one was the best?
I don't know if I'm going to shock you on this one.
Are you going to say Two Towers?
I'm going to say Two Towers.
Really?
I love the Two Towers.
Okay, defend that statement.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. In film school, or at least in screenwriting classes, you wow them in the beginning and you wow them in the end, and good luck with Act 2, because Act 2 is the hardest thing to do in any film.
Touché.
Act 2's strong in Lord of the Rings. It's real strong. And go revisit it. You really get the character development. You still, you have your journey. I feel like Return of the King, I love those movies, and I'm not alone,
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful shots, those big, wide, epic shots, absolutely fabulous. And he did that really well in Return of the King. In Fellowship, you're setting up this world. Great stuff, but I feel like the true meat of the characters comes in Two Towers. You really find out about
Interesting.
all our main guys, basically.
See, I'm definitely one of the people that leans towards Fellowship, only because I think everything that came after that, now you've seen it.
Yeah.
Whereas Fellowship, it's funny because between The Matrix in 1999 and The Fellowship in 2001, I often quote these two movies as the movies that kind of killed imagination, in the sense that you can no longer think of something and be like, oh, well, we'll never see that. The Matrix and Lord of the Rings, nothing is unseeable anymore. Everything is doable. You can see anything.
Yeah.
Monsters, aliens, warlocks, people flying through the air without, all this stuff. Because of those two movies specifically, I can never think of anything in my head and be like, oh, I don't know how we're going to do that. Yeah, you do. You can go down to Rhythm and Hues. You can go down to any post-production house and be like, hey, show me Lucifer climbing up over the mountain and eating everybody along the way. All right, give me 2 months and it's done.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
That's why I lean towards Fellowship, is because that kind of set the bar where it'll never be set again.
Sure, and I mean, you kind of got to clump all three of those movies in together as one.
Yeah,
'cause the
and I say
production was,
I say Fellowship just because it was the first of three that came, over the 3-year span.
Right. And I'll admit this too. In college, we didn't have cable, so we would put on Bloodsport, and it would just be on repeat and on repeat. And for some reason, Two Towers was one of those films that we just watched over and over and over again.
Fair enough.
There is one absurd thing that happens in it. The orcs, one orc gets killed, and the rest of the orcs start eating it. And one of the leading orcs says, "Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys," and they start eating the orc.
Yeah.
I just always imagined orcs like in a restaurant, like holding a menu. Like, how does he know what a menu is? Like, what's the soup of the day? I think I'll have that.
The soup of the day
Has
is
an orc ever seen a menu?
It's Gollum piss, garnished with hobbit ear.
But like Fellowship, it's a feat of cinema.
Absolutely,
absolutely. And I agree with that. Fellowship was great. The whole deal.
So before we get into, I guess we'll save it for the end of the conversation. I'm looking through my trusty Academy Award handbook here. Other movies that were out that year that did not see the fortuitousness of was that the right
Sounds good.
right
to me.
word? Okay. I Am Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Ali, which is the only movie I've ever fallen asleep to in the theater.
I liked it.
Training Day.
Epic.
Iris.
Didn't see it.
It was okay.
I got a little list too of 2001 films.
Bridget Jones's Diary. Not that I think that needs to be nominated, but I'm just spitballing the movies. And then this was also the year for Shrek and Monsters Inc.,
which totally should have been recognized because both those films are great.
See, I lean more towards Monsters Inc. than Shrek.
I love Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc. is the shit. Yep.
Here's a couple films.
Do it.
Sexy Beast.
Didn't see that one.
Oh my God, Evan! You have to see it. You will never. I mean, it like gives me chills. Ben Kingsley is just terrifying, and it's beautifully shot. It sets up this utopic kind of world, and then he comes in and just tears it down and rips these people apart, and it is fantastic.
I'm gonna go cue it up right now. Actually, that sounds awesome.
It is so good. You mentioned Training Day, which I just recently saw for the first time, and I'm like, why did it take so long?
I feel like Training Day doesn't hold up as well as it did when it first came out, because I feel like Training Day was the first movie that showed LA as gritty as it is, which is good because, I mean, people who aren't from LA or have never haven't been here. Sorry, that was stupid. They always think LA, they think Hollywood, they think glitz and glamour. There's a lot of dirty parts of LA.
Yeah.
And I think Training Day really kind of showcased it to what it really is.
Was it one of the best? Should it be considered one of the best films of all time? Probably not.
No, because
great film.
It's
Denzel's the man.
Well, that's the thing is that Training Day. Kind of we were talking about how A Beautiful Mind was nominated because Russell Crowe. Everyone had a hard on for Russell Crowe. Training Day is only important because of Denzel Washington getting screwed over for the hurricane the year before.
Right.
So, I mean, honestly, I think we might have to do another Snubbies episode from 2001 and take the award away from Denzel, only because it was, as Isaac mentioned in episode 1, it's one of those makeup awards. Like, you should have won for the hurricane, but that was also the same year that Gladiator came out, and we couldn't not give it to him, so we'll give it to you next year. What do you got?
Right. It's this weird exclusive club.
It is, and it's so stupid, and it's the same reason why Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't have 5 awards right now, but they'll probably give it to him this year, even though Jacob Tremblay, the kid from Room, should win it, but he's not nominated. I am on a tangent right now. My apologies, but the makeup award is bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. And, you hear about, people buying Oscars and all that, and I guess it's weird because we all have these expectations of awards, and I think the big fallacy with the film industry is legacy. What are these? What was the transcendent movie of that year?
Yeah.
And I think that's why my biggest gripe is Beautiful Mind, because Donnie Darko, Mulholland Drive,
stay on Darko
Royal
for a second.
Tenenbaums, Memento, Amelie. These are E2 Mama Tambien, Hedwig and the Angry Inch. These movies are amazing. They will last the test of time. I will be talking about those movies way longer than I'll be talking about A Beautiful Mind.
I think I can't remember the last time I talked about A Beautiful Mind, and the only reason why I'm talking about it now is because of you.
It's not just his mind, it's his heart. Come on. Come on. I love a good tagline, but God, watch the trailer. You're just like, blah.
I can't disagree with you. I mean, I own it. I mean, you're standing here looking at my DVD collection right now.
Love it.
I have pretty much every DVD known to man. Don't know if I'm gonna go back and watch A Beautiful Mind anytime soon.
Jennifer Connelly's a babe, you know.
Yeah,
We
but if I
love
want to
her.
see Jennifer Connelly in something sexy, I'll watch Dark City or.
No,
Am I a pervert for saying Requiem for a Dream?
maybe.
You just think of that guy at the end. Ass to
What was the
ass.
movie that the guy works at Target and he's working overnight? She is such a babe in it.
Wait. The guy working at Target. Are you?
Dermot Mulroney's in it. So this kid's working at Target. He's working the night shift. These two robbers come to rob Target, and she happens to be there. Oh God, we're gonna have to look this up because.
All right, keep talking. I'm gonna look it up while we talk.
It's a great film, and she is just like bursting out of this white tank top the entire time, and she's such a babe. I feel like Beautiful Mind. She lost weight. Everything started getting really thin after the 90s. So this was early 90s.
I'm really, really sorry because I'm going to go way off on a really awkward tangent right here. You talk about like actresses losing weights, especially around the 90s and everything. I got to say, a lot of people always talk about, the camera adding 10 pounds and everything like that. For girls that are for ladies that are in the industry, who aren't in the industry and don't understand the whole camera adds 10 pound things. You can kind of have it two ways, and this is how I've always seen it. It's you can be gorgeous in real life, or you can be gorgeous on camera. And
That's a good way to put it.
There's only a couple people that can blend that line. Now, if you want to be gorgeous in real life, you can have a little bit of meat on your bones, which is fine. If you want to be gorgeous on camera, you got to be almost grotesquely thin.
Yeah, it's sad.
And I don't want to mention anyone by name, but I worked on a I'm not going to call it a prominent horror movie because it wasn't. I worked on a horror movie that got very wide release, and our lead actress had a bra and panties scene. And I was like the one person inside to cue her to run outside in her bra and panties.
Oh, I know what you're talking
and,
about.
Yeah, you worked on it too. And when the actress, when the director called, or when the AD called pictures up, she whipped off her overcoat, and there she was standing next to me in all of her glory. And the only thing I could think of was, chick needs a sandwich, dude.
Wow.
She needs a sandwich because the bones are just popping through the skin, and it was not attractive. Fast forward to 6 months later when that movie comes out in the theater, she looks great. She looks fantastic on the screen. But
I think they'd fix the lens technology for all
you'd
that.
think so. But
Maybe
it's
the curvature.
But that's the thing that is so weird is that girls that grow up watching the industry and they're like, I want to be like this person, that person. Well, they're starving. They might look good on camera, but they're starving, man. And I can't stress enough, like, it's so much better to be a little chunky on camera and be comfortable with who you are than, like, I want to look good on camera and I'm only going to drink water and eat rice cakes.
Here's a little tidbit for you girls out there. We want something to grab onto. It's nice. It's real nice. It just came to me. Career Opportunities is the name of the movie.
Career Opportunities.
Google may have helped a little bit, but check it out if you're a Jennifer Connelly fan because ooh.
All right. Any other movie? I mean, you mentioned some pretty amazing movies there.
Right. I mean, Memento it was a game changer.
Yeah.
Mulholland Drive you have to watch 4 or 5 times, and it's beautiful.
I've seen it twice. I don't need to watch it again.
Okay.
Because that part,
I'm a huge Lynch
that part
fan.
where the creepy lady jumps out from behind the dumpster makes
so
me
good.
pretty much shit my pants every time.
Tenenbaums. I mean, a lot of critics have a lot to say about Wes Anderson and his two-dimensional worlds.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
That was one of his better.
Tenenbaums was the best of his movies.
Better than Life Aquatic?
Yes.
Oh.
Sorry, dude.
Oh.
Sorry.
He's
just
great.
Completely
Love you,
destroyed.
Wes.
No, you can stay with Joey.
And you know what? We talked about earlier about how the Academy is kind of stretching its comfort zone a little bit. I feel like
but they're not really.
Obviously not. But I'm saying they're nominating more like grander entertainment. Like Ocean's 11 came out that year.
Yeah.
I feel like if that was now, they would probably have nominated Ocean's 11. They would have nominated Monsters Inc.
Ocean's 11 was good. I mean, I guess between that nomination class, yeah, maybe you do give it to him.
Man, Sexy Beast is so freaking good too. And Hedwig.
I'm glad you brought up Hedwig because not a lot of people have seen that. Not a lot of people have heard of it.
Go see it.
It's the closest thing to our generation's Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Totally. And as a very heterosexual man, he's this beautiful creature, and you really like kind of go through these emotions with him, and it's like such a complex sexual.
Well, it's funny because
adventure.
Hedwig is not necessarily a comedy, but it's got a lot of similarities to Eternity almost.
It does.
The music is amazing. The story is heartfelt. It's there.
Mm-hmm. You fall in love with the male lead.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff.
And Y Tu Mama Tambien was a beautiful,
that was fantastic.
Beautiful
That was really
film
really good.
That really, I remember that affected me a lot. And then so fast forward to watching the Oscars that year. Whatever. Good. You know what, Ron Howard? Congratulations, you've had a great career.
No,
I
get the
can't
hell off
wait
my
to
TV.
work with you. But if this show's called The Snubbies, okay? And
Okay.
you know,
There you go.
there's a couple others that happened in history that I could really gripe about, but for some reason that one just
Okay,
made me
so
mad.
I feel like before we're obviously going to take the award away from A Beautiful Mind, or else Joey is going to lose his friggin' mind. So what's our nomination? What's our nominee class then? I'm going to throw Monsters Inc. in there because I fucking love Monsters Inc.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
And what
people-
we're going to keep Moulin Rouge.
yes. I guess, we keep The Lord of the Rings because credit where credit's due, right? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
God, now I feel terrible about the whole Gosford Park thing. I think that's why I was so silent for so long because it's like I should have seen this.
It's not like we're literally taking the statue away.
Okay. As far as changing the way narratives have told, Memento did that.
So you want to put
Okay.
Memento in there?
I would put Memento in there. I would put Y Tu Mama Tambien in there, not only because it was a beautiful film, but the Academy should be recognizing other ethnicities besides us white males.
Y Tu Mamba. Sorry, I'm writing this down as we go so we have a
In
visual.
Sexy Beast. Ooh.
I'm gonna say no to Sexy
Oh.
Beast. I haven't seen it. Maybe we'll come back and redo this episode.
Okay.
The only reason why I'm keeping it out is because we're looking back on the annals of film history. I don't think Sexy Beast gets mentioned in everyday conversation.
Fair
That's
enough.
that's the only reason why I'm saying that.
Fair enough. And Amelie, I mean, is it too foreign to be nominated for Best Picture?
No, because it is one of the. It's. I'm putting Amelie up there.
When she stuffs her hands in the beans in the first 10 minutes, I'm like, this movie is going to change my life. I know it right now. And I'm sure, just like everyone else back then, you fall in love with her right away.
Okay, so I can't narrow this down to 5 like it was back then. Like we kind of have like today's rules for back then.
And Mulholland Drive, you're leaving that off?
Yeah,
Okay.
only because it doesn't stand a chance.
It deserved a
against these.
nomination. How about that?
It deserves a nomination, but it just doesn't stand a chance for what we're actually going to do.
And Hedwig, like same thing.
Same thing, unfortunately.
I mean, if we're talking music and acting and all that, okay. Well, sorry, Hedwig.
I know, and trust me, like
you went on Broadway. You're a fantastic world.
We acknowledge the brilliance that is Hedwig. Unfortunately, when assigning a Best Picture Oscar, it's not going to fall into that category.
And let's just shout out to Donnie Darko real quick because come on, it's a hell of a fucking movie. Oh, I just cursed.
I've
sorry.
been cursing the whole time, dude. I have
Okay.
I have explicit listed on the thing. We're
Okay.
good. So fuck.
Donnie.
Do I put Donnie Darko on here? I don't think I don't think it holds up to the others.
But you can watch Donnie Darko in 30 years and still be super impressed for the first time.
I could pop it in right now just because we're talking about it.
Yeah, it's so
for
good.
sure.
Richard Kelly's best.
All right, I'm going to go on record. I love Donnie Darko. I'm keeping it off the nominee list just because it doesn't hold up to the others.
All right, well, I don't agree with
Not
that. So
not in my personal opinion, in the court of public opinion.
yeah. I agree. That's what we're doing because
Okay, so we have it. Well, 1, 2, 3. All right, I have 7 nominees.
That's fine.
Guess what's not one of them? Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful Mind. Sorry.
All right, ready? We
Let's do
have
it.
Monsters, Inc.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put a drum roll over this. That'll be nice. Monsters, Inc., Moulin Rouge, Fellowship of the Ring, Memento, Y Tu Mamá También, Amelie, and Black Hawk Down. Let's start crossing some off here. We got a few more minutes here left on the cast, so let's.
Okay, we all love Monsters Inc. Everyone loves it. It's not the greatest Pixar movie of all time.
Because honestly, that year the award went to Shrek.
Hmm.
So people are going to say it wasn't even the best animated movie that year.
No, if WALL-E came out that year, then we'd have a different conversation.
This is true. Just looking at it, I think I'm going to cross off Y Tu Mamá También because Amelie is the better foreign movies of the two.
I agree.
I mean, here let's just compare 2 movies side by side, and it'll get us to our.
There we go.
Moulin Rouge versus Black Hawk Down. See, I say Black Hawk Down, but you're going to say Moulin Rouge.
I am going to say Moulin Rouge, and again, you put an award. Oh, this is the best picture of the year. So when people look back, let's just say in a time capsule for some reason on 2001, what was the best picture that year?
Let me put it to you this way. Let's say top 5 war movies of all time. Is Black Hawk Down on that list?
Whoa, you're talking a lot of movies.
I know. Just off the top, is Black Hawk Down top 5 of all time?
If
You can say
no, top
okay.
10.
Moulin Rouge, top 5 musicals of all time. Is it on that list?
Top 10. There's a lot of musicals out there.
I
I'm trying to
think I think Moulin Rouge is going to be higher up on a musical list than Black Hawk Down is on a war list.
I agree.
So.
And you know what? This sounds funny because we've been like putting all these films on such pedestals, but it might have just been kind of a weak year for film.
I think it was a good year for film. I just think the wrong movies got recognized.
Or maybe it's just one of those years where they could have split the award, like a co-MVP in the NFL or something like that.
Like how Barbra Streisand and who was it, Sally Field that year? Was it?
Did they split it?
There was one year where I think it was Sally Field and Barbra Streisand.
Huh. I just keep thinking of like Steve McNair and who was it, Peyton Manning or something. they split the MVP. Like, just pick one.
Yeah, that's because no one can make up their damn mind.
I mean, it was a great year for film.
Yeah. All right, so let's go Memento versus Amelie. And it's funny because this is where my wife is going to be like, they're 2 different movies. You can't compare them.
That's
they're
what
movies.
doing,
You're comparing movies.
Right.
One just happens to be a very dark thriller. The other one happens to be one of the greatest romance movies of all time.
Right. This isn't like sports where you can statistically prove that Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time.
Yes, you can. All right.
I'm going to say Amelie.
I'm going to say Amelie.
Memento's a hell of a movie.
Memento's a hell of a movie, but you know what? I like Irreversible better than Memento.
Whoa. Of course you would.
Which maybe says a little too much about me.
Okay, now we're down to the top 3.
This is an interesting top 3.
It is.
All right, because they're artsy fartsy, I'm gonna put Amelie versus Moulin Rouge. Who you got? 2 romance movies, 2 very foreign. I mean, Amelie's obviously foreign language, but Moulin Rouge is very foreign inspired. They're foreign stories, let's say.
Amelie is more inspiring. To life.
I walk away
says
from
more
Amelie
about humanity than Moulin Rouge does.
I feel better about my life after watching Amelie.
Most definitely.
But I'm also kind of a dark soul. I like feeling that kind of depressive state a little bit, like after watching Moulin Rouge.
And we're talking about the entertainment industry. Like it's an entertaining film.
More work went into Moulin Rouge than Amelie. Not in terms of story, in terms of production value.
Right, but you could argue that about the artist. There's a lot more effort put into other films, but that was the best film that year.
True. So who you give it to?
By default, Lord of the Rings.
No, I'm just talking Amelie versus Moulin Rouge, just the 2, because the winner's gonna go up against Lord of the Rings.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna be the ugly American. Even though they're both very foreign productions, Amelie's a little too foreign.
I kind of agree.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Moulin Rouge.
They were both nominated.
They were. Moulin Rouge versus Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring for Best Picture of 2001.
Gosh darn it! See how I didn't curse there.
I just did the fuck thing.
Son of a gun.
Son of a biscuit. I just want to swear on my podcast all day. But Joey doesn't want to partake.
You got to go to Moulin Rouge because Lord of the Rings Fellowship is just one piece of a bigger pie. And I know why they gave it to Return of the King. You know, it's like, okay, we honor the entire project. Personally, I would watch the Fellowship of the Rings. I have watched that, obviously, way more than any musical. But I'm a boy, and well, I'm a man now, I guess. I'm a man boy.
This is debatable.
I want your opinion, Evan. You're the host here.
See, here's how because I have it hasn't been updated in several years, but I actually have a top 100 movie list of all time.
Love it.
And how I decide the ranking is, let's say I put two movies side by side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm flipping through the channels. Both of these movies are on.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Which
good
one am I going to stop and watch?
It's going to be Lord of the Rings.
It's going to be Lord of the Rings. Now, that being said, I can come home from a hard day of work and being like, I just want to check out. I kind of want to be, because they're both in fantasy worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any doubt that Moulin Rouge, even though it's completely based in reality, it is that fantasy world almost.
Mm-hmm. And you could also argue that it's tied more into that time. Like you said, they infuse popular music along with this kind of old school way of making films.
Right.
And I just argued that Two Towers was the best of the three. So what do you give Peter Jackson best film for all three of those films?
You could have.
You
Was it the best release that year? I see what you're saying with it's one part of a puzzle. I acknowledge that. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's the best 2+ hours of movie going that year, you have to give it to it.
Also, you mentioned if I come home, I just want to check out. Like, you get invested in Fellowship, right? You can't really just kind of check out. That says a lot. That says a lot that you can't just casually watch that movie.
But if it's on, I'm stopping and watching it. But it's going to make me waste the next 6 hours of my life.
Is it a waste? I think we've come to a conclusion, my friend. And this is a real manly podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll please. The 2001 Best Picture Oscar has been taken away from Ron Howard's A Beautiful Mind and given to Peter Jackson's Lord of the Ring, The Fellowship of the Rings.
Congratulations, Peter. You've come a long way from bad taste. A long way.
I think that's the right choice, and it was nominated.
I think so.
So,
but again, this lifetime achievement thing, and I get it. If I was in an exclusive club and all my homies were getting awards every year, and I'd be like, hey, guys, it's time. Okay?
Yeah, I get it.
They did that with Scorsese. I personally feel they did it with the Coen brothers with No Country for Old Men because I think There Will Be Blood was a far superior film.
Are you saying you want to come back and do another episode?
Oh, well, I was going to wait till the end, but I kind of just want to be a part of the show. And when I say a part of it,
I completely agree that There Will Be Blood was the better movie that year.
Ooh, I was worried about that coming in here.
For sure.
No Country for Old Men's a hell of a movie.
Oh, and those were the two best movies.
True Grit came out that year too, which was also good.
It was okay. Let's calm down about True Grit.
Okay, I'll calm down because those two films were by far they were great, but There Will Be Blood. It's on another level. It's on another level. Filmmaking.
Well, the fact that I know we're like, what are we starting episode 4 right now? The fact that There Will Be Blood, like the first 30 minutes had no dialogue, and you didn't realize it until it was done, and someone started speaking, and you're like, whoa, someone's talking.
Man, the cinematography,
it's
the
fantastic.
Score, the performances, yeah. And then Miss Bigelow with Hurt Locker. I feel like that was like, okay, we need to give it to a woman, but
who are you going to give it to that year? James Cameron for Avatar? Oh, are you?
I'm not going to do it because Avatar is basically Dances with Wolves in space.
No, it's not. It's
I thought Up
it's
was,
Pocahontas.
I thought Up was really good. I thought Up was really good.
Dude, an animated movie made me cry in the first 2 minutes.
Right, and well, we'll leave it for Bigelow. You know what? Congratulations, you made a hell of a movie.
I do like Hurt Locker.
And Scorsese with The Departed, they should have gave it to him a decade ago, 2 decades ago. They should have gave it to him 5 times. but Children of Men and Pan's Labyrinth that year blew me away. Blew me away, and The Departed did not.
Yeah, and I'm a Boston.
The Departed did not.
I'm a Boston dude, as you know, and I am gonna have a hard time defending against Pan's Labyrinth.
Good, because coming into this, I'm like, we're gonna get into it because it's a Boston film. His boy Damon's in it, but it was
And
good.
Leo and Jeremy
Leo
Renner
doesn't do a lot for me, but
No, I'm sorry, Jeremy Renner. I'm thinking of The Town. I'm sorry.
yeah,
No,
Jack Nicholson.
my bad. Well, no, I fucking know. I'm just. Sorry. There's like two amazing Boston movies, and they happen to come out very close to one another.
It's true, but those Children of Men was so freaking good.
Yeah.
Again, lasting the test of time. I don't know, but I remember really.
I feel like
feeling good
Children
about
of
it.
Men is one of. I don't want to say it's overrated because it's not. I feel like it's one of the most overrated, underrated movies where it's like, no, either people don't give it any credit at all, or people give it all the credit.
Like Wes Anderson almost.
Yeah, but I give him no credit. Screw him in his no profile shots.
Campari on the Rocks?
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
It's like I'm going to shoot all my movies straight on without any profiles, and I'm going to do a camera movement, but the person's not going to move, and I'm going to stick the camera right up in their face, and I'm going to do this for every fucking movie I've ever shot.
And they're all fun and beautiful and make you feel tingly. Come on.
No, oh, you know what? We're going to put Bill Murray in the background, and we're going to let him say whatever the fuck comes to his mind because I don't give a shit.
It's yeah, you're right. They're just looking to have some fun. Darjeeling Limited was just an
you know what?
excuse.
In this scene, I'm going to have Bill Murray come in with an axe, and he's just going to say, I'm going to chop a tree down, and it's not going to factor into the story in any way, shape, or form. Bill, go, action.
Oh, man. But come on. Tenenbaums, Bill Murray's like obsessed with the kid. He's like, there's a dent in that car. That's
Tenenbaums is fine, but do you have to repeat the same fucking formula for every movie that you do?
Well, he's an auteur. He has this signature, That's a beautiful thing, right?
No.
You can see, you watch it, this is Wes Anderson
A
movie.
good director, Stanley Kubrick, will give you something new throughout different genres.
Well, we're talking about arguably the greatest director of all time, Kubrick.
Argue my ass.
No argument.
No argument at all.
Evan, I love you. There is no argument.
Who the hell is going to try to... Spielberg? I can name 15 Spielberg movies that just don't cut it.
Yeah, even Hitchcock faded in
Hitchcock
the end.
had some stinkers.
Yeah.
Hitchcock is my number 2. Guess what? Dude had some stinkers.
Kubrick. Barry Lyndon is a beautiful, beautiful film.
It's right there on
and
my
people will say
I'm pointing to it right now. It's on my DVD case.
If you watch it, you get mesmerized by it. It's like staring at a beautiful
that
painting.
That duel scene is one of the greatest scenes of all time.
I mean, the where they're sitting at the dinner table, exchanging glares at one another.
Yeah.
It's bone chilling.
And dude, there are so many people out there that are like, "What the fuck are they talking about? That movie sucked." Screw you. Unsubscribe right now. Go. I dare you.
Yeah. See ya.
Jackasses.
Have fun with your beautiful mind.
I'm just kidding. Please stay subscribed. I want the numbers up on the show. So, anyways, all right. So, congratulations to Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
You have been
There's
snubbied
some
in.
great comedies that year as well. Zoolander came out. Super Troopers.
Overrated.
Wet
Zoolander.
Hot American Summer.
Overrated.
And let's not forget Glitter. The Mariah Carey epic. Zoolander's not overrated.
It is.
Oh, come
Everyone needs to
on.
calm down. Ben Affleck says,
You know why everyone needs to calm down? Because it's so good they can't stop quoting it. It's true. It's true. And Wet Hot American Summer, I'm a little biased because I'm a huge fan of all those guys.
Meatballs is the greatest summer camp movie of all time.
Okay, fair enough. Do I have one more snubby? Do I come back? Maybe for like episode 72 or
maybe. What,
do I mention it?
Mention it now. Just
okay.
What do you
Crash won Best Picture. That was not the best picture that year. That wasn't even.
What are you gonna say? Brokeback?
Good night.
Okay,
good
so
luck
Joey's gonna come back, and we're gonna talk
we'll,
about that.
We'll come back with Crash.
I happen to think Crash was the correct choice that year.
It was like when Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl with the Ravens. Like someone had to win, so they had to give it to. But Walk the Line, Brokeback, Good Night, Good Luck. Those were better movies.
You're gonna cry right now, aren't you?
I cry easy. Okay, I'm emotional. and I miss my mom.
All right, guys. Please download Eternity the movie. Download the soundtrack. Cue it up on Netflix.
We appreciate it, both Evan and I.
I personally don't give a shit. I just think it's a funny movie that I happen to work on.
Well, I do because we want to pay our investors back and we want to keep making movies. So.
Movie investors getting money back. You silly shit. All right, so Joey, thanks so much for coming out, man.
It was a pleasure. I really can't wait to do it again.
It's a good time. So
I'm forcing myself on you.
As always. All right, guys. Eternity the movie. Please check it out. I'll be right back to close out the show. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the Eternity transition music throughout the episode. The two songs were Make Love Not Just Sex and Don't Let Go. Again, as we mentioned before, Eternity soundtrack is available for download on iTunes, as is the movie. I strongly suggest you check them both out. Super funny, super catchy music, as you've heard. Big thank you to Joey Abi Loutfi for coming out and doing today's episode, and big thanks for permission to use the music. It's not easy to get original content. We've been using a lot of Kevin MacLeod Incom Tech music, which is just awesome transition stuff. But it's always nice to have something to reference the movies that you're talking about. So big thanks for Joey on that one. If you guys have any suggestions for future episodes, please hit us up on Twitter at the Snubbies. Hit us up on Facebook. Please make this in as much of an interactive show as possible. I definitely want your feedback, what you guys like about the show, what you don't like about the show, maybe recommendations for more type of things that you want to hear about, maybe some recommendations for some guests I can try to get. But hopefully you've enjoyed so far, but feedback is definitely key. I don't know how to improve the show unless you tell me. So, like I said, hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on Facebook, and thanks again so much for listening. Check out Eternity, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll see you later, huh? I'll give you a call.
Bye.
Bye-bye, dickhead.
See ya.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
I'll be back. Bye-bye, buddy.